Luna, pack your things. Don't bother coming in tomorrow. My boyfriend of 5 years, Ethan, the CEO of Zenith, spoke to me in a voice as cold as ice. He didn't even glance up, continuing to sign documents. I stood in the Zenith CEO's office, looking at the man behind the desk. In 5 years, this was the first time he had spoken to me in such a tone. Why? I asked calmly. Ethan finally looked up, his deep-set eyes devoid of any warmth. Savannah is back home. She needs the chief officer position. You should know that position was always meant for her. Savannah. His first love, the woman who had suddenly gone overseas to study 5 years ago. I've worked for this company for 5 years, rising from a small assistant to chief officer, generating over $5 billion in profit for Zenith. Now you want me to step aside for someone who just returned home? My voice was soft, but every word was as sharp as a knife. Ethan frowned, seemingly surprised by my reaction. In the past, I had always been docile and obedient, never questioning any of his decisions. Luna, you need to understand your place. He stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, his back to me. You're in your current position because I gave you the opportunity. Now I'm taking that opportunity back and giving it to someone more suitable. I almost laughed out loud. If he knew that for the past 5 years, every major decision, every successful project, every significant investment at Zenith had been orchestrated by me behind the scenes, I wondered if he would still say such things. If he knew that 51% of Zenith's shares were actually in my hands, I wondered if he would still be so self-righteous. But I said nothing, just nodded. All right, I understand. Ethan was visibly taken aback, probably not expecting me to agree so readily. Well, he turned around, a hint of awkwardness flickering across his face. You've certainly worked hard for the company over the years. Human will arrange a good compensation package for you. No need, I cut him off. I'll handle it myself. With that, I turned and walked away. As I reached the door, I heard Ethan call my name, Luna. I looked back at him. If you ever run into any difficulties, you can come to me, he said, his gaze somewhat complex. I smiled, the brightest I had ever smiled in front of him. Mr. Gu, do you really think I'll have any difficulties? Without waiting for his answer, I pushed the door open and left. Exiting the CEO's office, I saw the secretary, Mike, secretly watching me, his eyes full of sympathy. The entire company knew Savannah was returning, and that I was being pushed out. In the elevator, I pulled out my cell phone and dialed a number. Mr. David, it's me. Prepare to initiate the plan. Ms. Luna, are you sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no turning back, a cautious voice came from the other end of the line. I'm sure. I want all the documents by 9 tomorrow morning. I hung up as the elevator reached the ground floor. Stepping out of the Zenith building, I glanced back at the place where I had spent 5 years. After tomorrow, it would no longer be a concern of mine. That evening, back home, I sat on the sofa, looking at the thick stack of files on the coffee table. That was my life's work from the past 5 years, and what I was about to take with me. My cell phone rang. It was Chloe, my private assistant. Ms. Luna, Savannah has arrived and will be starting work tomorrow morning. Also, Mr. Gu had human prepare a resignation agreement, and the compensation amount is. The amount doesn't matter, I said flatly. Book me the earliest flight to Switzerland tomorrow. Also, notify the board of directors that a provisional shareholder meeting will be held the day after tomorrow at 10 a.m. Ms. Luna, are you planning to? It's time to go home, I said, then hung up. The night was deep, but I had no desire to sleep. 5 years ago, I had just returned from overseas. EAS, still a little unfamiliar with everything back home. At a celebration party, I met Ethan. He was gentle and refined then, his smile as warm as sunshine, achieving extraordinary success at a young age. He seemed so perfect, so captivating. Our story began at his small studio, with only a handful of people. To help him, I secretly used my family connections to inject crucial seed money into his company. With that shared experience of fighting side by side, we naturally fell in love. I thought it was fate, that I had finally met the right person. It turned out that the woman in his heart was never me. It was his first love, Savannah. Never mind. If that's how it is, let them live their lives together. And I, too, should return to where I belong. The next morning, I arrived at the company as usual, only this time, I brought no personal belongings. Because nothing here truly belonged to me anyway. Savannah was more beautiful than I had imagined. She wore a Chanel suit and 12-centimeter high heels, walking into the company accompanied by Ethan. Everyone, let me introduce Savannah. She holds an MBA from Harvard School and will be our chief officer starting today. Ethan stood at the front of the conference room, a gentle smile on his face I had never seen before. Applause broke out, but I noticed many long-term employees' expressions were somewhat forced. After all, I had performed well in that position, and being suddenly replaced by an outsider naturally gave many people pause. Thank you, everyone, Savannah nodded gracefully. I know some of you may be unfamiliar with me, but I will work hard to prove my capabilities. As for the former Luna, her gaze shifted to me, a hint of disdain flashing in her eyes. I heard she voluntarily resigned? Then I wish her a bright future. Voluntarily resigned? I almost burst out laughing. It seemed Ethan was willing to twist the basic facts to pave the way for his first love. Luna, do you have anything to say to everyone? Ethan looked at me, his eyes signaling me to cooperate. I stood up, scanning everyone in the conference room. Among them were long-term subordinates who had been with me for 5 years, new hires I had personally promoted, and a few opportunists. Nothing to say, I said indifferently. I just hope everyone remembers that some things, once lost, can never be found again. With that, I picked up my bag from the table, ready to leave. Wait. Savannah suddenly spoke. Ms. Luna, I heard you've generated quite a bit of profit for the company these past 5 years. I wonder if you could transfer the relevant project files to me? After all, I'll be taking over your work. Her tone was polite, but the challenge in her eyes was unmistakable. I stopped, turning to face her. What files do you need, Miss Savannah? All of them, of course, Savannah said, as if it were obvious. Project files, client information, partnership channels. These are all company assets, aren't they? The conference room fell silent. I noticed a few long-term employees looked uncomfortable. They all knew how much I had contributed to the company's achievements over the years. For to demand all my accomplishments upon her arrival was indeed a bit excessive. Miss Savannah is right, I smiled. These are indeed company assets. A triumphant expression appeared on Savannah's face. However, I continued, changing my tone, I need to confirm my authorization first. After all, some files are confidential and not just anyone can view them. What do you mean? Ethan frowned. Ignoring him, I took out my cell phone and dialed the intercom. Legal department? This is Luna. Please send my stock certificate and board membership certificate to the conference room. After I hung up, the conference room was utterly silent. Luna, what are you doing? Ethan's voice held a hint of impatience. You'll find out in a moment, I said calmly. 5 minutes later, Mr. David from the legal department rushed in with a file. He glanced at the situation in the conference room and cautiously handed the file to me. I opened the file, took out a stock certificate, and handed it to Ethan. Mr. Gu, please take a look at this. Ethan took the document, and his face instantly turned ashen. This is impossible. His voice trembled. What is it? Savannah leaned closer, curious. The next second, her face also changed. The stock certificate clearly stated, Ms. Luna holds 51% of Zenith's shares, making her the company's largest shareholder. This must be fake. Savannah shrieked. How could she possibly have shares in the company? Mr. David, please explain, I said calmly. Mr. David wiped the sweat from his forehead. This stock certificate is authentic. Ms. Luna indeed holds 51% of the company's shares. This was established 5 years ago when the company was founded. 5 years ago? Ethan's voice was hoarse. That's impossible. I founded this company. No, Mr. Gu, Mr. David said carefully. While you have been operating the company, the initial registered capital all came from Ms. Luna. Strictly speaking, you are merely the general manager. Ms. Luna is the true owner. The conference room was silent. Everyone stared at me in disbelief, as if seeing me for the first time. I clasped my hands together on the table. Now, I've decided to sell all my shares. Interested buyers can contact my lawyer. With that, I prepared to leave. Luna. Ethan finally snapped back to reality, quickly standing up. You can't do this. If you withdraw your investment, the company will be ruined. I stopped, but did not turn back. That's none of my business. After leaving the conference room, I went directly to my office. As expected, Ethan soon followed. Luna, calm down. He pushed the door open, his face etched with an urgency I had never seen before. We need to talk. I ignored him, opening my computer and starting to finalize some work. Listen to me, about Savannah. Ethan walked to my desk, lowering his voice. I can reconsider. The company can't function without you. I smiled, a somewhat bitter smile. I thought 5 years would be enough for him to understand who I am. But it seems he doesn't know me at all. Ethan, indeed, this company couldn't function without me. Without me, Zenith would face a capital chain crisis within 3 days. Without me, those key clients would immediately turn to other companies. With each sentence I spoke, Ethan's face grew uglier. But none of that matters. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the bustling traffic below. What matters is that I no longer have any attachment to this company, or to you. Why? Ethan's voice was very soft. Is it just because of Savannah? I turned around, looking at the man who had once captivated my heart. It's not because of Savannah. It's because you never treated me as a real person, from beginning to end. I stood up, picking up my bag, ready to leave. Ethan, my 5 years of youth weren't given to you for nothing. Now, I'm taking back everything that belongs to me. Ethan's face went completely pale. He slumped onto the sofa. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Savannah walked in, her face filled with anger and resentment. Luna, what exactly are you trying to do? She pointed at me, her voice shrill. Are you going to destroy the entire company just because Ethan chose me? I looked at her, without anger or jealousy, only an inexplicable calm. Miss Savannah, you misunderstand. I'm not trying to destroy the company. I'm simply withdrawing my investment. That is my right. I walked towards the door, and as I passed her, I stopped. There's one more thing I want to tell you. Some men, you can't just have them because you want them. And some positions, you can't just occupy them because you want to. With that, I walked out of the office without looking back. At 3 in the afternoon, my private lawyer, David, appeared precisely downsty. RS at Zenith. Ms. Luna, all the documents are ready. He handed me a thick file folder. The stock transfer agreement, asset liquidation report, patent transfer documents. It's all here. I flipped through the files, nodding. What's the valuation? According to the latest market valuation, Zenith's total assets are $23 billion. Your 51% share is worth $11,730 million. $11.7 billion. The number seemed abstract, but it truly represented all my efforts over the past 5 years. How are things with the buyers? We've contacted 3 interested investment firms. Apex offered the highest bid, willing to acquire at full market price. However, David hesitated. Are you sure you want to sell all of it? Given corporation's current growth trajectory, its value would continue to rise if you held on. I'm sure. I closed the file folder. Arrange the signing for tomorrow morning. David nodded, saying nothing more. As my private lawyer, he knew what to ask and what not to ask. One more thing, I remembered. Please investigate Savannah's detailed situation during her 5 years overseas. The more detailed, the better. Understood. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. After seeing David off, I returned to my office. The atmosphere in the company was noticeably tense. Everyone knew what had happened, but no one dared to discuss it openly. Chloe, my assistant, walked in, her face filled with worry. Ms. Luna, news has already spread online. They're saying there's been a major personnel change internally, and the stock price has started to drop. I opened my computer and checked the stock market status. Zenith's stock price was indeed falling, down 8% in just a few hours. As expected, I said calmly. The market fears uncertainty the most. Should we issue a public statement? No need, I shook my head. Everything will be settled tomorrow. The next morning, I didn't go to the company but went directly to Apex. Arthur, the chairman of Apex, was an old friend of my father's and my true supporter in the business world. Luna, are you sure about this? Uncle sat behind his large desk, looking at me with complex eyes. Zenith is something you personally built up. Precisely because of that, I can't stand by and watch it be ruined by unsuitable people. I picked up my coffee mug and took a sip. Rather than letting it slowly decline, it's better to sell it while it still has value. Uncle nodded. I understand. However, determining the acquisition price will take some time. No rush, I put down my coffee mug. But I have one condition. After the acquisition is complete, I hope Apex can retain the majority of Zenith's employees. Uncle seemed surprised. You even thought of that? Those employees have been with me for 5 years. They've done nothing wrong, I said calmly. As for the management, those who need to be replaced will be. I see, Uncle smiled. It seems you've considered everything thoroughly. It was already noon when I left Apex. I was about to go for lunch when my cell phone rang. It was Chloe. Ms. Luna, it's bad. Savannah has completely messed up the company. What happened? She fired over a dozen employees this morning, claiming she was streamlining the personnel structure. Now the entire company is in chaos, and many people are spreading rumors that the company is going bankrupt. I frowned. Savannah truly couldn't hold her composure. What is Ethan doing? Mr. Gu left early this morning, saying he was going to find investors. He hasn't returned yet. I thought for a moment. Tell everyone not to panic. Everything will be resolved tomorrow. Hanging up, I shook my head. It seemed Savannah, with her Harvard MBA, wasn't all that impressive. In the afternoon, I went to the law firm and finalized all the legal procedures. That evening, upon returning home, I was surprised to find someone standing at the door. Ethan. He looked Diksha. Instead, his suit rumpled, his hair somewhat disheveled. Why are you here? I walked over to open the door. I've been waiting for you all afternoon. His voice was hoarse. Let's talk. I glanced at him and finally opened the door. Come in. Ethan followed me inside, then stood motionless in the entryway. Please, have a seat. I changed into my slippers and walked towards the living room. Luna, he suddenly spoke. I searched all day, and not a single investment company is willing to take over Zenith. I sat on the sofa, saying nothing. They all said that Zenith's core competitiveness is you. Without you, this company has no investment value. This man, he was finally willing to acknowledge my existence. Unfortunately, it was too late. Ethan, do you know what disappointed me the most? He shook his head. It wasn't that you wanted me to step aside for Savannah, nor that you never truly loved me. My voice was very soft. It was that you never treated me as an equal. Ethan's face grew paler and paler. I'm sorry. If sorry was enough, what would we need the police for? I stood up. Ethan, I don't need your apology. I just need your signature to confirm the stock transfer. What if I don't sign? He suddenly asked. I looked at him and smiled. Then you can watch Zenith go bankrupt within 3 months. You won't, Ethan shook his head. You wouldn't bear to see so many employees lose their jobs. Want to try me? My tone was calm, but my eyes were cold. Ethan, don't try to moral blackmail me. The responsibility for those employees losing their jobs lies with you, not with me. You chose Savannah, you drove me away, you brought the company to this state. Now you want me to bear the consequences? Dream on. Ethan was silent for a long time, finally slumping to the floor. I've really lost you, haven't I? Yes, I answered without hesitation. You've lost me. Not just an employee, an investor, but a woman who truly loved you. But now, that woman is DEA. After left, I sat alone on the sofa, lost in thought. 5 years of a relationship, just like that, it ended. To say I wasn't sad would be a lie, but more than that, there was a sense of relief. Finally, I no longer had to carefully hide my true identity in front of him, no longer had to compromise myself to cater to his preferences, no longer had to painstakingly manage a relationship for a man who didn't love me. Just then, my cell phone rang. It was David, my lawyer. Ms. Luna, I found Savannah's information. Tell me. Savannah did study at Harvard, but it wasn't for an MBA, it was a 1-year visiting scholar program. And during her 5 years overseas, she wasn't studying, she was the mistress of a wealthy businessman. I raised an eyebrow. Continue. The businessman's name was John, and he was involved in real estate and knew. Savannah was with him for 3 years until he went bankrupt and committed suicide last year, which forced her to return home. Do you have evidence? Yes. I found her residential records and knew, as well as some photos of her and John. If you need them, I can compile these materials into a report. No need, I thought for a moment. Anonymously send these materials to a few financial media outlets. The next morning, I woke up and got ready as usual, then drove to Apex. Today was the official signing day. When I arrived at Apex, I found Ethan already waiting there. He looked like he hadn't slept all night, his eyes dark, his beard unshaven. Ms. Luna, Uncle stood up to greet me. Mr. Gu has been waiting for over an hour. I nodded and took a seat at the conference table. Let's begin. For the next hour, we processed all the legal procedures. Ethan said nothing throughout, only mechanically picking up the pen and writing his name when a signature was required. When the last document was signed, Uncle announced, the stock transfer is officially effective. From now on, 51% of Zenith's shares belong to Apex. I see. Loosed my pen, letting out a long breath. It was finally over. Ms. Luna, here is your check. Uncle handed me a check. 11,730,000,000. The number looked abstract, but it truly represented all my efforts over the past 5 years. Thank you, Uncle. I took the check. I'll be leaving now. Wait, Ethan suddenly spoke. Luna, I have something to say to you. I stopped, but did not turn back. These past 5 years, I've wronged you. His voice was soft, trembling. I admit, I never truly valued you. never treated you as an equal partner. I thought love meant I give you a position, and you should be overflowing with gratitude. I thought emotions meant you'd appear when I needed you and disappear when I didn't. But I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I listened to his words, my heart unmoved. He should have understood these truths long ago. Saying them now was only because he lost something before he knew its value. If there was still a chance. His voice grew fainter. I want to start over. I turned around, a cold smile on my face, and said, do you really think there's any possibility between us now? Ethan froze. I am Luna, Arthur's goddaughter, the young heiress of Apex. My voice was calm. And you are now a jobless individual laden with debt. Do you think we still have anything in common? Do you think I would still be interested in the person you are now? The words were cruel, but I had to say them, because only then would he completely give up hope. Ethan's face turned completely white. He looked at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. So, you were deceiving me the whole time. His voice was faint, laced with despair. Ethan, our story is over. I gave him one last look. I hope you learned something from this failure. For example, how to truly respect someone, and how to truly love someone. With that, I turned and walked out of the conference room. Stepping out of the Apex building, I felt an unprecedented sense of lightness. Finally, I could be my true self again. In the afternoon, I received a call from Chloe. Ms. Luna, something's happened with Savannah. What is it? The media exposed her scandal overseas, saying she was the mistress of a wealthy businessman and had no Harvard MBA degree at all. Now the internet is flooded with negative reports about her, and the company's stock price has plummeted even further. A smile touched my lips. It seemed Mr. David's efficiency was commendable. What about Ethan? Mr. Gu hasn't shown up all day. I heard Savannah packed her things and ran off, taking the remaining few million in company cash with her before she left. A few million? Savannah truly was greedy enough. What's the situation with the company now? It's chaotic. Many clients are calling to terminate contracts, and employees are panicking, worried that the company might go bankrupt. I thought for a moment. All right, tell all employees to come to the conference room tomorrow at 10 a.m. for a meeting. I have an important announcement to make. After hanging up, I drove to the bank and deposited the check for over $11 billion. Looking at the long string of numbers in my account balance, I didn't feel the excitement I had imagined, only a faint sense of satisfaction. Money had never been the most important thing to me. What mattered was what that money represented. It represented that my 5 years of effort had not been in vain, and that I could finally leave the past behind and start anew. That evening, I had dinner with Uncle. Luna, what are your plans next? Uncle asked me. I haven't decided yet. I cut my steak. Maybe travel overseas for a bit, or rest at home for a while. Not considering coming back to Apex to help me? I smiled. Uncle, what I need right now is rest, not work. That's true, Uncle nodded. You've certainly been too tired these past few years. By the way, regarding Zenith, I plan to have William take over. Mr. William was the vice president of Apex, highly capable and of good character. That would be wonderful. I put down my knife and fork. Uncle will surely manage the company well. Aren't you worried Ethan will cause trouble? He can't cause any trouble, I said calmly. He agreed to all the terms during the signing, and right now, he can barely save himself. The next morning, I arrived punctually at Zenith's conference room. All the employees were there, including some I thought had already resigned. Hello, everyone. I stood at the front of the conference room, looking around. I know many of you have been worried these past 2 days, worried about the company's future, worried about your jobs. Today, I'm here to give you a clear answer. I paused, looking at the familiar faces. First, I want to tell you that Zenith will not go bankrupt. A low murmur rippled through the conference room. Yesterday, Apex formally acquired the controlling stake in Zenith. From today onwards, Zenith will become a wholly owned subsidiary of Apex. What does this mean? It means your jobs will not be affected. It means the company will have more ample financial support, and it means your future is more secure. Applause erupted, and I could see expressions of relief on many faces. Secondly, regarding personnel arrangements, I continued. Apex will dispatch Mr. William, Vice, to serve as the new president of Zenith. Mr. William has worked at Apex for 15 years, possesses extensive experience and outstanding capabilities, and I believe that under his leadership, Zenith will develop even better. As for the former president, Ethan, he has resigned from his company duties due to personal reasons. Another ripple of discussion filled the conference room. Finally, I want to say that while this upheaval has caused some distress, it has also given us an opportunity for a fresh start. I hope everyone can continue to utilize their talents under the new management and contribute to the company's development. With that, I bowed. Thank you all for your support and trust over these past 5 years. The applause was thunderous. After the meeting, many long-term employees came to say goodbye to me. After leaving Zenith, I decided to take a long vacation. In the days that followed, I traveled to many places, saw many sights, and met many interesting people. 3 months later, I returned home. During this time, Chloe would occasionally send me messages, updating me on Zenith's situation. Under Williams' management, the company was developing very well. Not only had its capital chain returned to normal, but it had also secured several large projects. As for Ethan, I heard he was now working as a regular employee at a small company, earning less than $10,000 a month, and, after the scandal broke, had completely disappeared. Some said she went back to her family estate, others that she went to the south. In any case, she never reappeared in this circle. I simply listened to these updates indifferently, feeling no ripple in my heart. Those people, those events, had all become the past. One sunny afternoon, I was reading at home when the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I saw a polite young man I didn't recognize. "Excuse me, are you Ms. Luna?" he asked politely. "I am. Who are you?" "I'm Leo, president of Everbright Investments." He handed me a business card. "I'd like to discuss a cooperation project with you." I took the business card and looked at it. Everbright Investments was a well-known venture capital firm, specializing in investing in tech startups. "Please come in." I stepped aside to let him enter. "Ms. Luna, it's like this." Leo sat on the sofa, looking serious. "Our company has been focusing on investment opportunities in the artificial intelligence sector. We have a very promising project recently, but it requires an experienced partner. You think I'm suitable?" "Very suitable," Leo nodded. "Everyone has seen your performance at Zenith. Your business acumen and management skills are exactly what we need." I was somewhat surprised. I hadn't expected someone to remember me after being away from the company for so long. "What exactly is the project?" "Smart medical devices." Leo pulled out a file. "These are the detailed project files. If you're interested, we can discuss it further." I took the files and flipped through them. The project indeed had great potential, and it was an area I was interested in. "Give me a week to consider." I closed the file. "If I decide to cooperate, I'll contact you." "Excellent, I look forward to your reply." Leo stood up. "Then I won't disturb you any longer." After seeing Leo off, I carefully studied the project files. The more I read, the more interesting it became. If this project succeeded, it could not only create immense commercial value but also genuinely help many people. After weighing the pros and cons, I picked up my cell phone and dialed his number. "Mr. Leo, I've made up my decision. I'll take on this project." 6 months later, our smart medical device project officially launched. I served as the chief officer for the project, responsible for overall business planning and market promotion. It was a new challenge, and a new beginning. The company quickly got on track. Our products received recognition from several hospitals, and orders continued to pour in. Leo was an excellent partner, highly professional and of good character. Most importantly, he knew how to respect me, never looking down on me because I was a woman. "Luna, this month's performance report is out." Leo walked into my office with a file. "It's much better than expected." I took the report and looked at it, nodding in satisfaction. "Market response is indeed good. It seems we're heading in the right direction." "This is all thanks to you." Leo sat opposite me. "Without your involvement, this project wouldn't have been this successful. We're partners, there's no yours or mine." I put down the report. How are the next expansion plans coming along? "They're in preparation. We expect to officially launch next month." We discussed the specific details, and then Leo stood up, preparing to leave. As he reached the door, he suddenly stopped. "Luna, there's something I want to tell you." "What is it?" "Someone was asking about you yesterday." I looked up. "Who?" "A man, in his 30s, claimed to be a friend of yours." I didn't reveal any information, but what? "But I didn't get a good feeling about him." Leo frowned. "You should be careful lately." I thought about it and had a pretty good idea who it was. "I understand. Thanks for the warning." After left, I sat in my office, pondering for a while. "Ethan, are you still not giving up?" 3 more months passed, and our company reached a significant milestone. Our product officially received certification from the national products, allowing it to be sold nationwide. To celebrate this good news, Leo suggested we hold a celebration party. "This is our company's first major success. We should celebrate it properly, he said excitedly. I've already booked a hotel and invited some industry friends and partners. Good idea, I nodded. But let's keep it small, a bit understated. I know you don't like too much fanfare, Leo smiled. It'll just be a small gathering, mainly to thank those who've supported us. The celebration party was set for Saturday evening. That day, I specifically chose a black evening gown, simple and elegant, nothing too flashy. Upon arriving at the hotel, I found that there weren't many people, perhaps 30 or 40. They were all partners, investors, and core employees of the company. Friends, welcome to tonight's celebration party, Leo said, standing in the center of the crowd, raising his glass. First, I want to thank each and every one of you for your support and trust in our company. Secondly, I want to especially thank my partner, Ms. Luna, he said, turning to me, his eyes full of gratitude. Without her involvement, today's success wouldn't have been possible. Let's raise a toast to Luna. Cheers. Everyone raised their glasses. I smiled and nodded in acknowledgement. This feeling of being respected and acknowledged felt truly wonderful. It was completely different from the cautious approach I had to take at Zenith. Here, everyone respected me for my abilities, not for anything else. The celebration party proceeded smoothly. People chatted, drank, and the atmosphere was relaxed. I was chatting with a few investors when I suddenly heard a familiar voice behind me. I never thought Ms. Luna would be so successful now, the voice said. I turned around to see Ethan standing not far away, holding a glass of wine, looking at me with a smirk. The other guests clearly didn't recognize him, but they all noticed the mockery in his words. How did you get in? I asked, frowning. I have an invitation, Ethan said, shaking a card in his hand. Mr. Leo personally invited me. I looked at Leo, who also had a puzzled expression. I didn't invite this person, Leo said, walking over. Sir, may I ask who you are? I am Ethan, Ethan said unhurriedly. Ms. Luna's ex-boyfriend and former boss. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Where's security? Leo's face darkened. Please escort this gentleman out. Don't be hasty, Ethan waved his hand. I'm not here to cause trouble, I'm here to congratulate. He raised his glass to me. Congratulations, Ms. Luna, on finally getting everything you wanted. Money, status, success. It's certainly worth celebrating. However, I'd like to remind everyone of one thing. His voice suddenly grew loud, audible throughout the entire venue. Ms. Luna's success didn't come from starting from scratch. She is the adopted daughter of Arthur, chairman of Apex, an heiress worth tens of billions. How much of her current success is due to her own abilities and how much is due to her family's resources? That's hard to say. A hush fell over the room. Everyone looked at me, their eyes filled with doubt, surprise, and something I couldn't quite decipher. I gave Ethan a long, hard look, then walked to the center of the crowd. Mr. Ethan is right, my voice was calm. I am indeed Mr. Arthur's adopted daughter. However, I'd like to clarify one thing. I scanned everyone present. I acknowledged Mr. Arthur as my adoptive father after I had already achieved success in my career, not before. My initial capital came from my equity investment in Zenith. That investment was entirely from my personal savings, with no financial assistance from anyone else. As for my current success, all of you here are witnesses. From the project's inception to now, every decision, every effort, you've all seen it. I paused, then looked at Ethan. And as for you, Mr. Ethan, I continued, I'm rather curious, how exactly did you gain entry to this celebration party? Ethan's expression became somewhat uneasy. Just then, a middle-aged man I didn't recognize walked over. My apologies, Ms. Luna, he said awkwardly. I brought him in. He claimed to be a friend of yours and wanted to discuss business. And you are? I am Mr. Thomas from Pinnacle, the middle-aged man said, handing me a business card. I was invited by Mr. Leo. I took the business card, glanced at it, and then nodded. Mr. Thomas, you've been misled, I said calmly. Mr. Ethan and I do know each other, but there's absolutely no business between us. Furthermore, from what I understand, Mr. Ethan is currently deeply in debt and has no investment capacity whatsoever. A slight stir went through the room again. Mr. Thomas's face darkened considerably. He clearly realized he had been used. Security, Leo called out loudly. Please escort these two gentlemen out. Soon, the hotel security guards arrived. Wait, Ethan suddenly interjected. Luna, do you think this is over? There was a wild glint in his eyes. You ruined my company, you ruined M. Why life, and you think you can just walk away? I'm telling you, it's not that easy. I've collected enough evidence to prove your illegal activities during your time at Zenith. embezzlement, insider trading, business fraud. These charges are enough to land you in prison for 10 years. His words stunned everyone present. But I simply smiled. Ethan, do you think I'm afraid of your threats? This isn't a threat, it's a fact, he screamed wildly. I have evidence. I have recordings. I'm going to let everyone know your true colors. Then go ahead, I said coolly. Go to the police, go to court, go to the media. Let's see who will believe the rambling of a bankrupt, unemployed man. You. Ethan was choked speechless by my words. Security, please remove this gentleman, I said, no longer looking at him. If he bothers anyone again, call the police immediately. Security guards came over, took Ethan by the arms, and began to drag him out. Luna, you'll regret this. You'll definitely regret this. Ethan's shouts echoed through the venue until he was dragged out the main door. The room became quiet again. Everyone looked at me, awaiting my reaction. I raised my glass, a faint smile on my face. My apologies for such a spectacle, I said. But this also perfectly illustrates a point. On the path to success, there will always be some failures who try to drag you down. However, as long as we persist in doing what's right, no amount of slander or defamation can harm us. Let's continue tonight's celebration. To our success, to our future, cheers. Cheers. Everyone raised their glasses once more. And so, the spectacle came to an end. The rest of the celebration party proceeded smoothly. Everyone seemed to have forgotten the earlier incident. But I knew this wouldn't be the last time Ethan appeared. Yet, I no longer cared. Whatever tricks Ethan might try next, I had more than enough capability to handle them. Because the person I was now was no longer the girl who could be easily manipulated 5 years ago. I was Luna. I had my own career, my own team, my own future. Anyone who tried to hinder me would be trampled underfoot. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.